Nothing that I've seen in my time as mayor of Buffalo and nothing that I've seen in my lifetime has come close to what we've seen the past couple of weeks.
It happened right here.
Right here.
It has been 9 days since a 75-year-old man who approached police in Buffalo, New York, was pushed, falling backwards to the ground outside City Hall.
He is wicked! He's not a
9 days of convulsion and conversation for a city that's become a new national flashpoint.
When you first saw the video of Martin Gugino being shoved down, what did you think?
I immediately thought about, is he going to be okay? It was horrific. I was very worried for his health, immediately praying, but then had to reach out very quickly to the management of the Buffalo Police Department to try to make sense of what I had seen.
The first report from Buffalo police said Martin Gugino tripped and fell.
What happened in the initial communication process where it was said that he tripped and fell?
Well, you know, what I'd like to say and what people are missing is that people in every single profession can make a mistake. And that mistake doesn't mean that an intention to mislead is what occurred.
But it wasn't corrected until the video actually came out.
Again, everything moving very quickly. There were reports that went globally with me that I called Mr. Gugino an agitator. I never called him an agitator.
When a protester is told to clear an area and then doesn't and walks up to police, what are they trained to do?
One of the things that they're trained to do is use common sense.
Common sense wasn't used here.
I don't believe common sense was used. I don't believe the push was necessary. Officers, though, that were involved in that incident do deserve their day in court, like every American who is charged with anything deserves their day in court.
What do you think should happen to them?
Well, I think what the police commissioner did was appropriate.
After the incident, both officers were suspended without pay and charged with second-degree assault. In response, all 57 members of the Special Response Unit at Buffalo PD resigned from their group, though not from the larger force.
We lost that unit because of a threat from the Buffalo Police Benevolent Association. They got a bulletin from their union saying that if you perform these duties as a member of that unit, you will not receive coverage from the union. And I think that that is unconscionable for a union to treat 57 dues-paying members in that way.
On Tuesday, President Trump sent the Buffalo story to a whole new level, questioning whether Martin Gugino has ties to Antifa, claiming he fell harder than he was pushed. The president asked whether it was a setup. Similar sensational comments have been made about other cities. Brown responded immediately.
There have been different responses. The Seattle mayor responded saying, "Go back in your bunker." Your response was much more tempered. Why?
I think we have to go out of our way right now to show our respect and call people into being part of the solution and not do anything that can possibly divide people.
Even when others don't show respect.
As a leader, it's critically important for me to model the behavior that I want every single resident of this community to exhibit. This is just the first step.
The day after the tweet, Mayor Brown held a news conference announcing a series of reforms, including tickets, not arrests, for low-level criminal offenses.
If the actions that you took on Wednesday were so necessary, why weren't they done before?
It's just a continuation of reforms that we've made in the city of Buffalo.
The plan you released does not include dismissing officers with a history of brutality. Why?
New York State law, collective bargaining laws in New York State do not allow us to do that.
Outside City Hall Thursday,
how do I know as a constituent? You're telling the truth right now.
Where we watched a handful of protesters confront Brown, The mayor is allowing people to write with chalk on the city's most famous building, sometimes graphic messages.
You got some pretty direct messages for the police department here.
And we're fine with that because these messages can be removed.
In the initial round of protests, the city's residents watched as one man threw a burning object through a city hall window. He was arrested the next day, and Brown says he'll be fully prosecuted.
So get ready because we're coming.
All while protesters gather not just outside the mayor's place of work, but his home.
You've got white protesters holding Black Lives Matter signs outside your house. When you see that, what's your reaction?
I am glad that people finally realize after 400 years in this country that Black Lives Matter.
Why did it take the death of George Floyd to have some of these conversations?
It was a flashpoint. It was just a continuation of things that we've seen in this country before. Eric Garner, Breonna Taylor, Freddie Gray, Ahmaud Arbery, and the anger, the frustration just bubbled over. They all have been painful. They all have been distressing. This took on a life of its own. It's been played over and over and over again. When my family and I first watched that together, there were tears in my house. I almost feel it now, just thinking about it.
I see that. Is this a process that takes a lot longer than most people think?
I think it is a process that will take longer than most people think, but it's a process that has to be approached with a listening ear, with an open heart, and with great urgency.